The UFC 319 prelims have been all over the place these last few days. Been kind of hard to keep track of. Let's jump into it. We're kicking things off with the flyweight Ultimate Fighter finale bout. We got Alibi Idiris versus Joseph Morales. And I didn't really watch the Ultimate Fighter as it happened, but I did go back and watch the fights that they had on the show. And I think Alibi, man, I think he has potential to maybe become a ranked fighter in the flyweight division. He looks really good. I think Morales, he looks solid, but I didn't really see anything that makes me think he's going to make it far in the division. So, in this fight, I'm going to take Alibi, and I think he's going to grind out a decision. I think Morales is tough, and I think Morales is kind of well-rounded too. But I think Alibi is just going to have better wrestling, and I think he'll be able to use that to get the decision win. We're on to the next fight. So the UFC website, for some reason, the graphic for this fight just would not work properly for me, so I had to go somewhere else, and that explains why it looks a little different. So we got the women's flyweight division, Karine Silva versus Dione Barbosa. This is an interesting fight. They fought before 5-6 years ago, and Barbosa got a decision, but Silva has been on a tear for a long time now. She's got a lot of submissions, but she did lose her last fight to Araujo. So I do believe Barbosa is stepping in on kind of a late notice for this fight, and that could work to her disadvantage. But I don't know, man. I think she's beat her before, and she might be able to do it again. I think Silva, if she doesn't get a submission in that maybe the first half of the second round, I think she slows down a little bit, and I think she can lose this fight. I'm going to go with the underdog in this one. I'm going to pick Barbosa to win a decision. I think she can win the second and third round and get this done. We're on to the next fight in the middleweight division. Bryan battle versus Nursulton, Ruziboev. And I think this is another really good fight. Bryan battle, he's a really good fighter. He's got some decent wins. But I personally thought he lost that fight to Randy Brown. I might have to go back and rewatch that to maybe it would change my mind. But I seem to recall thinking there was a very close fight that I didn't think that he won. And then Nursulton, I think he's also a really good fighter, but he doesn't really have like that win over a name yet. He needs somebody who's a little bit more known for me to take him a little bit more seriously. But I do think he's a really good fighter. I think he's got a hell of a right hand on him. And I think he can put a lot of people out with it. This one's tough, but I'm going to go with Nursulton in this one. I just think he's going to be able to have the range, and he's got a lot of experience. I think he can probably work himself out of any bad situations that battle puts him in. And I think he can pepper battle with the jab and hit him with that cross a few times and just win a clear decision. I got Nursulton winning this one. We're on to the lightweight division. Edson Barbosa versus Drakkar Klose. And this is one of them fights that I've got to go with the veteran, Edson Barbosa. I mean, he's almost 40 years old, but I still think he should be able to win this fight. But I'm not picking Edson with high confidence. I believe he's going to win a decision in this fight, but I also think it's possible for him to get that KO, but I'm going to lean towards the decision for him. This is one of them fights that I'm just staying away from it for the betting wise. Now, if Edson Barbosa, if his money line was like plus 100 or maybe like minus 105, I might get in on it then. But right now, it's just a little bit out of my range, and it's just not quite where I want it. We're staying in the lightweight division with Chase Hooper versus Alexander Hernandez. And Chase Hooper, he's like one of the biggest favorites on the card, and I think he should be, but I'm still a little bit hesitant. I know Alexander Hernandez isn't the best fighter, but he's still got some tough... He's still got some heavy hands, and, he's really not a bad fighter. He's not bad at all. I think he's fairly well-rounded, and I think there is the small chance that he can win this fight, but I'm not going to bet on that. I think Chase can win this fight, but I think it's going to be a little bit tougher for him. I don't think he's just going to run through Hernandez like he has his last few fights. I think Hooper might be able to get a finish, but he's really going to have to work for it against Hernandez. I do think Hooper's going to get the decision, though. And yeah, I'm looking forward to how Hooper progresses, but I'm still unsure about him. There's times where he looks like a total beast, and then other moments where he looks very, very beatable. And as far as Alex Hernandez goes, the first bet I ever placed on MMA was way back in the day when he went up against Cowboy Cerrone. And I just remember watching the press conference where he was talking a lot of smack. And he's like, it wasn't even good trash talk. And Cowboy said, hey, if you got a problem, come to my room and we can handle it. Well, anyways, when they got in the cage, I mean, Cowboy whipped his ass, and I made some money on that. So that's the first MMA bet I ever made, and that's why I remember Alexander Hernandez. Anyways, that's a little side tangent. On to the next fight. We're on to the women's strawweight division with Jessica Andrade versus Loopy Godinez. And I like this fight. I think it has potential to not go the distance. I really do. So Andrade, she's been around forever. She's a former strawweight champ. And but the thing is she's really not even that old still. She started when she was young. And she's back down at strawweight, which is her rightful weight class. She's way too small to be up at flyweight. And now she's going up against Loopy, who's done good. She's got a lot of solid wins, a lot of decision wins, few submissions. You know, I just think Andrade is going to be strong as hell, and I think she might be able to land a few shots and knock her block off, man. I think Andrade is going to get the KO in this one. Either that, or I think Loopy's going to get the submission. So as far as betting goes on this, I'm probably going to take like an under or for the fight to not go the distance. But I just think with Jessica Andrade, there's always that possibility. But as far as an official pick goes, I'm going to pick Andrade by KO. But I think this fight can go either way. In the middleweight division, Gerald Meerschaert versus Michal Oleksiejczuk. And I'm not even going to try the last part of it. I mean, these Polish names, man, they really mess me up. So this fight, I think Michal, he's younger. He's only 31 years old. But he's been submitted 6 times. And he's going up against Gerald Meerschaert. Gerald Meerschaert is always dangerous for submission. And so I've got to pick Gerald Meerschaert. I think he's going to get that sub. This fight, I don't see going the distance, but I think if he can just weather an early storm, I think he can get that sub. He might have to take a little bit of damage in the process, but I'm going to go with Gerald Meerschaert. And for the featured prelim, we got Baysangur Susurkaev versus Eric Nolan. Now, Susurkaev, he just fought on Tuesday. I mean, I was just talking about this guy earlier in the week. I made some money on him already this week. But for that fight, he was minus 400. For this fight, I saw that he was already at minus 800 in some places. Way out of my range. All the value's gone on that. So I probably won't be betting on him just because of the line's just so out there. But yeah, he's taken his second fight on within 6 days, 5 days, something like that. Very impressive. He looked very good in his Dana White Contender Series fight. He won with the kick to the liver, or somewhere in the gut. He just put a dude down by kicking him in the stomach, basically. Pretty vicious. It was pretty awesome, and he looks like he has some potential. Like he might be able to go far in this division. We really have to figure that out. Now, he's not really fighting a guy in the UFC. Now, Eric Nolan is just a guy they brought in. But I was watching some of his footage, and this dude's got some power. He's got some heavy, heavy hands. He's got some highlight reel knockouts that are very impressive. But I think he's just going to be too outmatched. I don't know. This is very short notice for both of these guys, but has he been training like Susurkaev's been training? Because Susurkaev had a fight earlier in the week. So he's already in shape. He's already in fight shape. Is Eric Nolan in fight shape? I don't know about that. I mean, but props to him for jumping in this quick and taking on the guy that's supposed to be a killer. That's pretty badass, but I've got to go with Susurkaev. I think he's going to get that KO. He's probably going to be a first or second round, but I don't know. I kind of like Eric Nolan, and I hope after this fight, if he just gets sparked, hopefully he gets another fight and he gets time, and we kind of see if he's UFC level after that. But yeah, I got Baysangur, Susurkaev winning by KO. That's it for the prelims. I'll have my bets video out tomorrow, going over all my bets for UFC 319, and I'll have a few PFL bets in there too. That's it for me. Until next time.